You're listening to the Align and Inspire podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Monique, and in this episode, we are diving into filling your signature program, your online group program. So this is actually the fourth of a series that I have been doing all month of November. And this is all about how you can go from being a one-on-one, an established one-on-one coach, and actually creating a group program. So letting go of trading time for dollars, letting go of only making money when you're actually working with a client, and having a scalable program that you can count on for that consistent income, for scalable income, so you can have consistency, predictability, and you can have more of that freedom as well. So this is the last episode, and we're going to be talking about how you can actually fill your program. But before I do, I just wanted to do a quick recap for you so that you can know if you're listening to this episode for the first time, if you want to go back to check out previous episodes, what are the three main elements that you're going to need to run a successful group program? So I know that if you are an established coach or an established mentor expert and you have a lot of clients, going from one-to-one to a group can feel daunting. Or maybe you've run a group before, but you want it to feel a little bit more structured, a little bit more intentional. Sometimes that can feel daunting, but it's actually quite simple. There are really three things that you need, okay? The first thing you need is an offer that's magnetic, then an offer that really is easy for you to talk about, that makes the right people think, oh my gosh, that is the program for me. An offer that's magnetic. You need a program process that gets repeatable results, a well-designed program that gets repeatable results that you can really count on, that you feel really good selling. And you need systems to give you freedom, because having a program alone is not going to give you necessarily the freedom, because more and more work can pile up if you don't have the right systems and processes in place. So that's what we've spoken about in the last 3 episodes. And in this episode, to finish it off, I want to show you how you can start to think about filling that program. How do you sell it? How do you fill it? And I want to think about what are some challenges that you might be facing when it comes to filling it. So you might think how do I actually do that? What does the process work? I've seen some people do webinars and do I need to do a webinar? How do I actually have that happen? What does the process look like? You might wonder how do I actually make it repeatable? How do I I can get my one-on-one clients, but how do I continually bring new people into my program? Or how can I communicate it in the right way so the right people know it's right for them? So we're going to dive into that today, because I have had a long process with selling, and it was so unnatural to me at first. I really didn't like it. And over time, I've really come to enjoy it. I always feel like I really want to get the right people in. And I know for the right person, it can really change their life. So if you've already got an established coaching practice, you likely have already seen that. So doing it in a group format, it's just a different way of looking at it, but you've already got the skills. So it's just about creating the right process for you. So I'm going to we're going to look at it in 2 ways. We're going to look at it in this episode a little bit about the mindset shifts that you might need to take on, and then actually the strategy, what do you need to look at? What are the main pieces you need to have in place to actually start filling your programs? And as you listen to this, I'd love for you to think about too, maybe you are brand new and you've only done one-on-ones. How many people do you want to have in this first group? So think about that. And if you already have had a group, maybe you've had a group before, you want it to feel more established, you want to feel more structured, you want it to feel less like you're winging it, and you want it to grow. How many people do you want? Do you want 20 people, 30 people, 60 people? How many people do you want? Because that'll help you think about what you might need as you start listening to this episode. So let's talk mindset first, because mindset is so huge. I'm sure you and I can both agree that when you first started selling, it probably was quite daunting for you if you're anything like me. And there are a lot of shifts that we need to make to be able to sell in a way that feels good and aligned to us, right? So the first shift to make, and maybe you're you're going to be like, yes, I totally agree, Lauren. And maybe you're not quite there yet. But the first is that selling is serving. I used to feel guilty, or I used to feel uncomfortable selling at the end of a workshop because I feel like, what if people think I'm just in it for the money? What if people think I'm just trying to I'm just trying to sell my program? What if they don't think it's valuable? I was really worried about all the judgments that people would have. It was one thing to talk to somebody one-on-one in even a sales call was very uncomfortable for me at first. But in that way, it was one thing. But in a workshop, it felt really uncomfortable. And the shift that really helped me see that selling is serving was one day I was trying to do the responsible thing, and I have two little boys, and they are age 7 and 4 at the time of this recording. But when they were a few years ago, I was thinking, you know what? I probably need to take them to get their eyes checked, right? I really need to do that. And so I booked them an appointment, found an appointment, and then they said, oh, do you want to book one for yourself too? And I thought I guess I mean, yeah, I probably should. I haven't had my eyes checked since I was probably 18. The last time I had my eyes checked. So I was like, sure. Okay, yeah, I'll book one too. And we get there. My kids are we get to the optometrist. My kids are running around in circles and I'm like, okay, no, sit down, calm down. Okay. I'm stressed out that they're going to break the glasses. Anyway, we get in, we're sitting there, we're good. My kids get their eyes checked out. It's it's a great experience. And then I have my turn. And they said, when's the last time you got your eyes checked out? And I was like, oh my gosh, years ago. And they said, okay, no problem. We'll take a look. And they, after the appointment, they said, have you ever thought about wearing glasses? And I was like, they told me that I needed glasses maybe when I was 18, but I just didn't see it. I was like, it just doesn't really bother me. And I didn't really want to bother with it. So I just let it go. And it never seemed to be an issue. And they thought, you could probably use some reading glasses. And I was like, yeah. I mean, I don't really, I can see fine. I didn't really think all that much of it, but I was considering it. I was like, okay, what's that going to do for me? I don't know. I don't see this as a problem. And then as I went out, so that was the optometrist who was very much the doctor. And the people who own it, I think it's family run. I think that the people who own it are still I think there's one physician who's an optometrist, and then his wife and son run the actual I guess business, and they're the ones that sell the glasses. And they were talking to me and they're like, oh yeah, I'm looking at it, what you need and blah, blah, blah. And have you ever thought about glasses? I'm like, yeah, I don't know, maybe. And then they thought, well, they said to me things like, do your eyes ever feel tired at the end of the day? And I was like, well, yeah, but I figured it was all the multiple wake ups that I have with my kids. I didn't think anything of it. They're like, do you feel tired? And I was like, yes. Do your eyes ever feel dry or you need to blink when you're reading? I'm like, well, actually, maybe. And they said, have you ever considered anti-fatigue glasses? And I was like, pardon? What's that? Give me anything to give me more energy at this point. Because I think at that point, my youngest was 1. And I have 2 very active boys. And at the time, oh my gosh, they were really tiring. I mean, they still are, but that was a whole other level when they were 1 and 4. I'm like, okay, tell me more. And as they sit there playing on my phone, and they're like, well, anti-fatigue glasses. Well, basically, if you look straight on, you don't need glasses. But when you look down, every time you look down, your eyes need to, because you just have a slight prescription, your eyes need to slightly adjust to be able to focus in on what you're reading. And when you do that multiple times a day, it can be quite tiring for your eyes. So you can actually feel more tired in the day than you need to be. I was like, oh, really? Okay. And they're like, why don't we just take a look at some glasses? And they helped me look around and they found these I don't have them anymore. I love them. I lost them. But they found these Tiffany glasses. And I'm like, how could you guys tell that I would love Tiffany blue glasses? They were so stylish. I loved them. I was like, okay, done. I'll get the glasses. I mean, I've got coverage anyway for glasses. Sure. I got those glasses and they have been life changing having glasses. I I don't work without them. I don't even go to conferences with them. One day I forgot them at a conference. I forgot them like in my hotel room, and I noticed it all day long not having glasses. My eyes feel so much better. I want them all the time now whenever I read. But I have so much more energy because of these glasses. But had they not communicated in a way that really spoke to my particular problem and my particular challenge, I wouldn't have known to buy them. Like the way the optometrist was like, you could use glasses. I was like, okay, like it didn't say anything to me. But when they were actually able to sell it to me in a way that fixed my problem and that they really understood me, oh my gosh, I am so grateful to those people. And when I look back, the thing that I really learned from that experience is, oh my gosh, selling is serving. They really understood, especially, I mean, both of them, but especially the mom, because she knows what it's like to have little boys because her son works there too. He's older now. He's probably in his 30s. But like that experience showed me just how much when you really know your person and you can really give them a solution to their problem that's empathetic, that's understanding, like selling is serving. Oh my gosh, that's when I really got that experience. So I'd love to even think for you, have you had a moment like that where maybe I don't know, you've gone shopping for something or you've had an experience with a coach and you're so grateful that they sold to you because they were able to make a massive difference in your life, right? And for us as experts, as coaches, as mentors, like selling is serving because you can truly change somebody's life, right? So that's the first thing to think about is if you're not on board with it anymore, like yet, that idea that selling truly is serving. So that's the first shift that I needed to make and that you might need to make. The second is sometimes I think, and this is so true for me, but it's been true for my friends, it's been true for my clients, we think, oh, I tried selling it in a certain way and it didn't work, so I'm going to try something new. And this was me for years, and I didn't even really notice I was doing it, but it is so much more effective to find one way and improve it rather than always trying new things. Okay. So find a strategy that you really like. And we're going to talk about this when it comes to conversion systems that you really like and just get better and better at that. And you will get better at selling and at filling your program as you practice. But finding a way that's really aligned with you. There isn't one way to sell to fill your programs. It's about finding the way that feels best for you. I am, if you're new to me, you maybe haven't heard this, but if you've been following me for a while, you know that I used to be a teacher. I still run a program for teachers to help them stop working weekends. Teaching is a huge part of my background. And so I love running workshops. Like I run regular workshops. Teaching is my favorite. I love teaching. I can align teaching with selling and it's my style. I feel really good running workshops as my conversion events. But that might not be right for you. And we might find a different way for you. But it's about finding the way that feels really good and authentic to you, that doesn't feel pushy, that doesn't feel yucky, and finding a way that really plays to your strengths, but always choosing one and improving it rather than jumping from thing to thing to thing. Like I've done like this challenge and then this workshop and then that workshop topic. And then I tried another workshop topic and I was jumping all around doing all these different things instead of choosing one way and refining it and improving it. And that has made it's been a massive game changer in my business. So those are some of the shifts that I'd love for you to think about. Selling is serving and find one way to improve it rather than trying new things. Let's look at the strategy now. What are the main things that you need to have in place in order to fill your programs? Okay, because you might think, maybe I need to do a webinar. Do I need to do discovery calls? Maybe I need to do a challenge. Maybe I need to do a 3-part video series, right? Like there's all these different ways that you see like the experts selling their programs, right? And the thing that I'd love for you to get out of this episode is the big picture bird's eye view of what it actually needs. Because all of those things have something in common, like the overall structure is actually the same. So you really need 3 pieces to be able to fill your programs, okay? You need leads, you need a conversion system or a conversion event, a conversion system. We'll go with conversion system. And you need a clear offer, a really compelling magnetic offer. And if you are new to this series, go back to the first episode. I believe it's episode 20 when I talk about magnetic offers. If you want to learn more about how to craft an offer, how to say it in a way that's compelling for your people. But let's talk today about the leads and the conversion systems. Okay, so we're going to move backwards and I'd love for you to think about as you listen, where are you at with all of these elements? Okay, how do you feel around your offer? I was like red, yellow, green, teacher background. What can I say? Red, yellow, green. Are you at a red with this? You don't have any of it. Are you at a yellow? You've got some of it. Or are you at a green? You're like, oh, I've really nailed this part. Okay, so your offer, magnetic offer, it's how you are communicating what it is that your program is going to do for someone in the way that really speaks to them. So they're like, oh my gosh, this is what I need. So that's episode 20. A conversion system is actually, let's go from leads to conversion system. So you need a source of traffic. You need people to be coming into your world to go through your conversion system. So that might be on social media. That might be referrals. That might be people in your network. It might be Facebook ads. There are many ways to do it, but you need to be attracting new people into your world. And maybe you've only been doing one-on-one work and all of your work has been referral based. You might need to really work on bringing in a bigger audience and building an audience regularly so that every time you go to sell your program, you have new people there. So that brings in more of that predictable income, right? So you might have that, or you might be really well established in your niche. And you might be really well respected in your niche. Like maybe if you're helping people as a mentor, as a coach, in your particular industry, you might actually have already a lot of connections and a really strong reputation. You already actually have a lot of people in your world. You need to focus more on creating your offer and creating your conversion system, perhaps. So you need leads, and the main three ways to grow your audience, to grow those people, to have new people coming into you, to see you, are build, borrow, buy. So building is like that organic. It might be social media. It might be referrals. It might like word of mouth. It might be speaking events, things like that. You're building an organic audience, maybe going on YouTube, whatever. You might borrow. That is through like affiliates, through collaborative efforts. Like if you do a bundle with people in your niche, for example, I've done that with entrepreneurs. I've done it with teachers. We all offer one lead magnet in a bundle, and then we get in front of all these new people. That's like that borrow your audience. And then buying it is usually through paid ads. Okay. So build, borrow, buy. And I've done different strategies. I like to do a combo of all three. I don't always manage to get that all running. I'm building that out as we go. But you can think about which is the strategy that you want to use. And usually a combination of all three is like the best practice, because then you get the speed and the quality together. So the first thing you need is like traffic, leads. You need new people coming into your world. Okay. The next thing you need is a conversion system that you feel really good about. Okay. And this is the thing that like sometimes people say the only way to do it is through discovery calls, or some people say webinars are dead, or, like there's all these different things. But really any way can work. It's your funnel. It's like, how do you get from someone just discovering who you are, for them getting to know you, getting the value like that you can offer, and then seeing your offer. So that might be something in a large scale, like having a webinar or a challenge or a video series or a live video series. That's one. You might have it in a smaller way, like in discovery calls, like one-on-one sales calls. Some people even do it through like the DMs. Okay. It's not my particular style, but those are different ways. But you want to think about like, what is the strategy to convert someone from someone who doesn't know you yet to getting to know you, to trusting you, and to eventually seeing your offer and knowing, okay, this is the right person for me, and buying from you. So like in signature program design, we do a like we do this. It's not the main focus, but I want to help you actually fill your programs too and find the right strategy for you. So leads, conversion system, and then your offer is the final piece, so that you don't just have a program, you have created an offer. And that's what, like, the packaging of your program is the way that you communicate what your program does, so that the person who is right for your program knows it's right for them. So that's like those are the main pieces that you actually need in place to be able to fill your programs. You need leads coming through, build, borrow, buy. You need a conversion system, a way for them to find out about you, get to know you, trust you, build that know, like, and trust. And you actually make your offer to them. And it can be in a large format or a small format. I've done both for my programs to fill them. And then you need a strong offer so that you can actually explain to people, this is what I do, this is what it's going to do for you. And it's explaining it in their words. So they're like, oh, this is what I need. Okay. Does that make sense? So those are the main pieces that I wanted to share with you. If you are wanting to go deeper on this, if you want to really get a sense of, okay, I've got those pieces in place, but like, how I really want to start building my offer, I want to optimize my offer, I would love for you to come to our upcoming free training specifically on this. I'm going to share 5 secrets that I have mostly learned the hard way, so that you don't have to, and you can really build that program, optimize the program, create that quality experience for people. So you know that you're really enjoying what you're doing. You're getting that fulfillment, but you're also creating the freedom that you want. So you're not just stuck in trading time for dollars. You're really able to step out of that and get out of that trading time for money and having that freedom-based group program so you can help more people without working more hours. So I will link that up in the show notes. I would love to see you there. And if anything stood out for you in this episode, if anything struck you, I would love to hear from you. I'll link it up below, but you can reach me at laurenmonique.business on Instagram, and I would love to hear from you. And of course, if you found this helpful, please subscribe, leave us a review. It's always super, super helpful for podcasts to be discovered, and I read and appreciate each and every review. So thank you so much for listening. Thanks for tuning in to this series on the Scalable Signature Programs, and I will see you next week on another episode of the Align and Inspire podcast. Talk to you soon.